Hi, here's Michael Leander. I'm in Delhi at the DMA I 2014, that's the Direct Marketing Association of India, organizing their yearly convention, as they call it, and there's lots of very interesting people here. Most of them want to talk about marketing and technology and the trends and all of that we hear about all the time. But thank God I found somebody who would like to talk to us about something a little bit different. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to have him introduce himself to you right now.
Hi, my name is Krishnan Chatterjee. In my day job, I am actually the head of marketing for a company called HCL Technologies, which is a $5 billion Indian IT services firm with clients in 31 countries. The rest of my life, I'm the lead singer, songwriter with a band called Contraband. And I think what Michael caught hold of me to do is to talk a bit more about the contraband in my life, as opposed to the work life that I have. So just to begin, you can find the band at contraband.in. We've just recently launched our first single globally. You can get it on iTunes and other platforms. It's called The Fisherman and the Banker. And it's to do with the story of this Mexican fisherman who met an investment banker, and the banker kept tempting the fisherman to invest in his business, buy more boats, set up a cannery, export to Wall Street, and at every stage the fisherman kept asking, what next? And finally, the what next led to an IPO, and post the IPO, a sellout, and then the fisherman retiring as a millionaire to a Mexican fishing village to fish for the rest of his life. And the fisherman said, that's what I'm doing right now. And that in many ways is why Contraband sings the songs it does. We call the music white collar rock. And what we've observed in the corporate world is today, a lot of us, one of the big problems we see is a lot of people in the corporate world aren't really happy. They have outsourced their sense of identity and self-esteem to things like power, position, or possession. And who you are, the car you drive, the apartment you live in, the club you belong, seems to be the real source of your identity. Our argument is, if you could think about what you create, create, not consume. If creation became the source of your identity, the photograph you take, the music you make, the article or the blog you write, all of us are inherently creative people. Usually in the corporate world, some of the most talented people in the world enter the corporate world for economic reasons. So if you can continue pursuing that passion that you had and making something out of it and treat that as your sense of self-esteem, you can discover happiness irrespective of what's going on in the professional side of your life.
Yeah.
Does that
That's very, very interesting. So my understanding, just to set the stage, is that you have a so-called 9-to-5 job, where you take care of business, so to speak, and I'm sure you do a wonderful job. And then in weekends you have only two passions going for you, correct?
My family and the music.
And the music, yes. Yeah. So you've managed to divide your passion, the three passions, if I can say it that way, that you have. But you're also a person, it seems to me, who go against the strides, or the tide, sorry, not the stride. Maybe you do that too, we don't know. But you don't care too much about what other people think about you. You don't seem to be somebody, I wish they would stop doing that, who would, who cares so much about all the materialistic things in life. Mm-hmm. And don't you think a lot of people are trapped in that place where they think that that is what it's all about and can't find a way out?
Yeah, I think, what was that recent movie, The Wolf of Wall Street, right?
I haven't watched it, have you?
I have, and it probably it tells the story even better because it dramatically postures that other side of things. I don't think most people are really that extreme. For instance, I've not quit my job in order to make a life in music.
No.
Neither do most people you or I know want to become a cutthroat Wall Street trader, screwing their clients at any cost and therefore making their own millions. Yeah. People aren't usually that. People are usually somewhere in the middle. I think the question I'm trying to look at is not really going against the, going against the tide and so on. It's just a simple question. What does it take to make us happy? Because inherently, remember, the fact that we are part of the corporate world means already we have reached, wherever we live, a certain part of the socio-economic strata where survival is not a problem. Now, going beyond that, there's this whole, what is it that you really need to be happy? Because you are not in a position where you are struggling for food, shelter, clothing. And living in India, that's something that's very in our face.
Absolutely.
Now, if you've hit that, just think of yourself, Michael, in a party. Would you like to be in a party? And let me tell you, this kind of party is very common in this strata, where people are discussing the shares they bought, the car, the BMW they recently bought, the apartment they've just picked using a housing loan. Or would you like to be in a party where somebody is talking about the tiger photo they took in the Ranthambore jungle, the song they wrote and why they wrote it, the painting that they made? Inherently, as human beings, we are more interested in each other because of what you create.
Correct.
And not what you own.
Yeah.
So if you so there is nothing, that is very natural. Look at what's happening in social media. Brands and people who become famous in social media have some piece of content which is of interest to you.
Right.
They have created content which is of interest to others. It's very, very human. So I think that's where we come from.
That's right. But in India, it seems to me that people have very long work hours, maybe as much as 10 hours per day, and then a long commute time to and from work. So perhaps they spend, let's call it an average of 12 and a half hours per day. Not much left of the day to have a passion. So I have two questions concerning that. Do you think that people, if they are able to pursue their passions, whatever they be, about music or sports or something entirely different, that they will become, because that makes them more happy, will become better, let's say, co-workers, or more productive co-workers, or more stable co-workers? So that's one question. And the other question is, how do you do that if you're already working for so many hours, and perhaps you're just spending weekends, if you're working 5 days a week, to just resting to prepare yourself for Monday early morning when you have to leave for job again?
So they're very good two questions. The answer is the same in my mind.
Oh my goodness.
So, I'll try and kill two birds with one stone.
Excellent.
I think as long as the philosophy of creation bites you. So let's take a look at what's happening to our world today. I think in another 5 or 6 years, there'll be 9 billion devices connected. Some used by human beings, others. So the Internet of Things will take off. The reality is all the jobs we do today, anything that's operational in those jobs is going to get automated. The only thing that's going to set a professional apart from another is the creative ability. Either you're able to design a new solution, the very human things are really going to start surfacing. And I think that's one of the good things that technology is doing to our world. You don't need a bank clerk anymore.
That's right.
You'll bank online.
Yeah.
So if that's the case, I can tell you this is true in my team. I don't care what time somebody comes in or when they leave.
Really?
Absolutely not. In fact, many of my team chooses not to even come into office. All I care is what they're creating and the impact they're making. And the impact is all measurable.
And this is within the company's policy to allow your team to have that?
No, actually, I think the good part is HCL Technologies is a very entrepreneurial company.
Okay.
The company has a philosophy called employees first, customers second.
Wow.
So it's all focused on entrepreneurial ability and innovation that employees demonstrate, being the true value that the company provides to clients, as opposed to anything else. So I think increasingly work styles are moving in that direction. Even in offices today, guys who are creating new stuff, who are ideating and innovating, are naturally being picked out as the winners for tomorrow.
Yeah.
So to that extent, I think as long as you can bring the creativity of your passion into your workplace, you'll get it sorted. The second issue is you'll actually start enjoying what you do.
Yeah.
And reality in my mind is, though I made that point that I don't care about my people coming into office, I sort of believe my people spend more than 10 hours a day working.
Yeah.
At certain points in time, because they are so engaged in what they are doing.
So
They're
it's their
waking
passion.
up. It's what they're doing has become their passion.
Yeah.
And, there's this model I think Dan Pink came up with, which I think is very true to how people work. And the question is very simple. Why would I go to office on Monday morning with a smile on my lips? And there are three answers to that question, which I've seen practically working.
Yeah.
And it's like, think of these three concentric circles. The outermost circle is autonomy. I will go to work with a smile because I rule my own destiny. I don't have people looking over my shoulder and telling me what to do.
Yeah.
The second circle is mastery. So the job that I do every day, I get better and better. I will be the best in the world. And the final circle is purpose.
Yeah.
I understand that there is a purpose. So if you look at the Indian IT industry today, it directly employs 3 million people, indirectly employs 10 million people, and has already become 10% of India's GDP.
Yeah.
So if you're working in this industry, you have a strong sense of purpose and commitment to something you're doing, which is larger than yourself. And I think aligning these three things makes life much better professionally.
Yeah. So the last question that I have for you is, if somebody is very passionate about one or other thing, but doesn't believe that this is going to materialize in any time soon into money, and the person is in a full-time job, I think these people are unfulfilled, right? They may be unfulfilled at work because they are thinking about the passion, and maybe perhaps vice versa as well. What is your advice if anyone like that is listening to this?
I think that's a very real question. So I think when we were in college, everybody had talent, everybody had their passions. And I think a lot of people enter work life and forget about it, like you said, and it becomes, I know brilliant musicians today who are very senior professionals, who I think some of the most incredible musicians I know who haven't picked up a guitar in 10 years and things like that. I think, to my mind, you just have to make a decision on how do you value yourself. I think just ask that fundamental question, how do you value yourself? And if that source of value comes from the things that make you unique, the things that you can create, that should help. The second thing is actually one blog I picked up when I was writing the Fisherman and Banker song. Obviously, the song is based on a story which has viraled heavily.
Yeah.
And the story has viraled heavily in the financial services community. So bankers and venture capitalists and all the guys who you think would be the banker side are really in the fisherman frame of mind. And I remember one CEO of an American bank who wrote in a blog, and I think this is an interesting story, and this exercise may help people get this done. He said, I heard this story for the first time when a Jewish rabbi came to our office to give a talk. And he asked us to do an exercise. He said, draw a dot on a page and call it X, that's your birthday. And draw another dot, call it Y, that's the day you die. Now make a cross, call it Z, on where you are today in this line. And the CEO is saying most of us put it in the middle. We are in the middle of our life. And then the rabbi said that now from that Z to Y, which is the balanced part of your life, write the three things that you would like the most to do. So once they wrote it, said now below that line write how much time you put behind these three things today. And the CEO said my eyes opened because I discovered the three most important things for me to achieve in the balanced part of my life are three things I put no time in at all today. And I made a change. So I think this little exercise, because somewhere our own sense of mortality must serve as a little bit of a trigger to saying that there is more left for you to do.
Yeah, that's wonderful advice.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Michael.
And to you listening, thanks for listening. If you want to hear the first single from the band, there'll be a link somewhere here to where you can have a listen and maybe download it. And thanks for listening. And I want to wish you a great day today and all the other days. And hey, don't forget to follow your passion.
So here's me with the link Michael spoke of. It's www.contraband.in. Contraband.in. Thank you.
Thank you.